In this first video, we're going to learn about Python data types and its basic operation. I'm in the folder 2Python, 1-Python basics, and I'm using the notebook Python basics. So I've already opened the notebook. In this particular notebook, we're going to look at the basic forms of data types within Python, and the first type is integers. So I have two different variables, x and y, within which I have assigned x 4 and then y 2. I can add them by typing print open bracket x plus y and close bracket. You can notice that both of them are enclosed within an open bracket and closed bracket. So if I run this particular code, it's just going to take these two numbers and add them. The result is going to be 6. Moving on, the second data type is floats. As you can note, I have x is equal to 4.3, y is equal to 2.3, and I can add them like the example below. I can also subtract them using the minus symbol. I can multiply using the star or asterisk symbol. I can also divide the values, that is x divided by y. I can also return the remainder by saying x percentage y, and it is going to give the remainder. I have absolute value, that is print within the rounded brackets absolute of ABS of x open and close brackets. So that's going to give me the absolute value. Also, I can say x to the power of y, which is going to give me 4.3 to the power of 2.3. So let's run the code. As you can see, I'm getting 6.6 as an outcome. Addition is going to give me some other outcome. Division is going to give me some other outcome, and so on and so forth. These are the basic operations. Now, the third data type is string. Now, this is what the building blocks of Python looks like. So let me assign two different strings to x and y. X is equal to fun, y is equal to xl. Now, when Python looks at any string variable, what it does is it interprets that now, instead of doing addition like numbers, I need to concatenate these. So for example, if x contains fun, y contains xl, and I'm giving a string, the static string here, it's going to concatenate x, the static string, and xl. So it's going to be fun into xl. I can also say x into 2, and it's basically going to repeat fun 2 times. If I run this code, you're going to see I'm going to get fun into xl and fun, which is nothing but repeating x 2 times. Now let's go further deep into string and what it can be done. I can do string selection or range slicing by using square bracket. Now square bracket basically gives an idea that, hey, I have a list with me and I want to pick certain elements from that particular list, right? So in this case, I have a string my name, that is KUNAAL, and I can say my name to colon, and then I can leave the next value here. If I say 4, it's going to say 224. But I'm just going to leave that value there, and this basically tells me that, hey, I want from the second character onwards towards the end, or second letter onwards towards the end. So for example, if you consider K to be 0, U to be 1, and N to be 2. So from 2 till the end, that will be NAAL, right? So I want that particular character. I can print that. I can also slice it. So I can take the only one letter from that particular string. And in this case, K0 will mean K, 5 would mean L. So if I add both of this, obviously it knows it's string. So it's going to concatenate and it's going to give me KL. If I run this code, you will see I'll get NAL for the first example and KL for the next example. Now what happens if we have numbers as string? So if you put the quotation and put a number and then assign it to x, you will notice that it's going to treat these numbers as string. So if I run it, instead of addition, it's basically going to concatenate these two string numbers. If I run it, I'll get 21. Notice, only when you assign it without any quotation will it treat it as an integer or float. Moving forward, I can do basic things like capitalizing a particular string. I can say string, that is a default within Python, and then within it there is something called as capitalize. So I can take a string and then capitalize it. So for example, I have taken a static string that is elephant. I can capitalize this to capital ELEPHANT. So if I do that, you will see that E will be capitalized, right? I can also pass any variable within this to capitalize it. This is just an example. So in the next example, I also have things like finding the length of a string. So in this particular case, I have string 1, which says we love data science, and I want to know how many characters are there within this particular string. I can simply say length, open bracket and close brackets, is string 1, and it's going to give me the length, right? So there are around 20 characters within this particular string. Also, I can check whether each of the string is digit or not. Notice in string 2, I have 404, which is a number, but again stored within string 2 as string. So let's see what Python is going to do. So for the first one, obviously it's not going to be digit, so it's going to be giving me false. And string 2, right, ideally we would expect that it should give me false, but since it contains a particular string, it's going to say true, right? So, and in totality, right? So if we had probably a character, let's see what it's going to do, right? So I'm going to rerun this and run this again. You will see it's going to be giving me false, right? So when a number present within quotation in totality, Python treats that as a number. Let me rerun it and let me run this particular thing, and you will see that it's going to give me a true. Moving on, I can do things like replace. So for example, I want to replace love with like. I can say string 1, this particular string dot replace love with like, right? So string 3 contains like. I can also type it here, but it's always better to have it stored in a particular variable and then use it. If I run this, we're going to get a sentence called we like data science. Now let's find where the love is present within this particular sentence. So it's present in the 0, 1, 2 and 3 position. So ideally this particular answer should be 3, right? So it basically finds where LOVE first occurs and then returns that particular position. Now let's look at string 1 again. Since I didn't assign it into a different variable, right, the original value is going to remain we love data science, right? If I did assign it to some other particular variable, I would be able to access it, but for now I did not assign it. I just basically replaced it and then displayed it, right? So we can do one-off things like this, or you can choose to assign it to a particular variable, right? So if I chose to assign it to a particular variable as string 4, it's not going to do anything. However, if I say string 4 value, it's going to show it, right? So that's how this particular replace works. We'll leave it as is. Okay, so next thing, the fourth basic type of variable that we have within Python is Boolean. That is basically it holds true or false. So I have two different variables, x is equal to 4, y is equal to 2, and I can say z is equal to x double equal to y. That means it's basically a comparison operator. I'm trying to see whether each of these values are equal or not. Then I applied a if statement. If z, that is if z is either true or false, colon, and then I gave a sentence that is print we want to be data scientist, right? Else print we do not want to be data scientist. So if this particular condition is true, then this will be printed. Else is going to print this particular sentence. So if I run this code, let's say it says we do not want to be a data scientist, right? I can also simply replace this with 4, rerun the code, and you will see that we want to be data scientist will be printed, because now this particular value becomes true. So we'll leave this as 2. Okay, now the other thing that I want to cover in this particular example is that whenever you come across numbers, strings interchangeably, right, you're going to come across some different types of implicit conversion. So for example, in X I have 6.0 and Y I have 3. These are two different data types. So ideally, what is the expectation here is that if I divide X by Y, the expected answer is going to be in decimals. Hence, what Python is going to do is automatically convert the output of X divided by Y to a float, right? So this is intuitive for Python to do it. Hence, it does it automatically. However, when first let me just run this code. So if you notice that the type of Z will ultimately be ending up as float, and we can use the function type, open bracket, close bracket, and give the variable, and it's going to give me the type of that particular variable. Now the other part is explicit conversion. Now when you give Python X is equal to 8 and Y is equal to a particular sentence, right, it does not know what particular variable to convert to which type. So for example, should it convert to 8 to string, or should it convert the string to a number? And this cannot be done because this is a string, and how would you convert a string to a number, right? So this is not possible. So basically, when you run this particular code, you're going to get an error because, right, it does not know what to do, right? So it's going to say type error saying must be string, not int. So what we can do is that we can say the same variables, assign the same values there, but we're going to do an explicit conversion. So what we have to do is choose what of those variables we need to convert to what. So for example, in this particular case, I meant that I want to say Game of Thrones season 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concatenate Y plus convert that X variable into string, and then concatenate it together and display the results, right? So if I do this, you will see Game of Thrones season 8 is going to be coming, right? So that's how the explicit conversion happens. Now another example of implicit conversion is that if you take two different integers and divide it, obviously the expected answer is a decimal, hence it's automatically going to convert it into floats. So if I run this, it's automatically going to be converting into floats, that is 2.5. Thank you for watching this video, guys.